Good afternoon and welcome to the Powerful Parent Network Quarantine Edition. I am DJ Little. I play the music that makes you move. Be prepared to listen to some of the most dynamic parents from across the country discussing education issues that are affecting millions of parents from all over the country. But first, let me introduce you to some of our co-hosts, and I'll start with Miss Sarah Carpenter, grandmother with an attitude, representing the Memphis. Look, let's give it up for Sarah. Next, we're going to take it to St. Louis. They said there was a lady who lived in St. Louis who fought for so many children, the district did not know what to do. Let's give it up for Crystal Barnett for Bridge to Hope. All right, now we're going to take it to the Twin Towers with Joe Cantu and Mary Bell protecting our children on behalf of you with Mind Shift Education. Let's give it up for Joe Cantu and Mary Bell. Next, we'll take it to my hometown in Nashville, Tennessee. They said there was a lady from Nashville Propel that will silence you with a yell. Let's give it up for Sonia Thomas and Propel. And last but not least, as we always do, let's take it to the Dirty South. They say where she says, welcome to Atlanta where the district plays and the Atlanta Thrive rides on them like every day. Let's give it up for Kimberly Dukes and Atlanta Thrive. All right. And with that, I will pass it to the moderator, the host with the most, Miss Donisha Fields.
Hey, welcome back everyone to the Powerful Network Quarantine Edition, episode number 4.
Right.
Shout out to DJ Little for that powerful introduction, and also to our team behind the scene that you do not see on the screen. This is definitely a group effort. Welcome back to our viewing audience. Remember, you are part of this conversation, so get in those comments and let us know what you're thinking and how the topics affect you as well. I hope everyone is fired up and ready to go because we got one for you today. We got a true fire show today. I'm not going to waste any time with any talking. I want to bring on to the scene the people who you came to see, our in-house experts, our city leaders. What's going on, city leaders?
Hey,
Good morning.
up, ready to go.
All right. Welcome back, everyone. Last week, we had an awesome show. We talked about policies. So Mary Bell, can you talk about what the response of the surveys?
Absolutely. So here's the must-know stats that we gathered from you guys. We had, over the past 4 weeks, we had over 2,000 survey responses, and thank you guys for your input. That's amazing. We asked you guys to rank some policies you want to fight for, and here's what you guys said. About 56% of you were from traditional schools, and 39% were from charter schools. Some of you were either really, really excited or really turned off about the boycott question. Most of you, and right smack in the middle, were thoughts about fighting for the rights to remediation or information about your kids. So that was right in the middle. We also got your input on when this show would be a good time to air. And the majority of you said that any time besides Friday afternoon. Point taken. We will put that in our notes. But here's really what I'm taking from this. Is that you guys don't want to return back to usual, to business as usual, to normal, whatever that is. You guys want something to change. And it makes me wonder, what if nothing changes? What do you all fear if nothing changes?
I think my biggest fear is parents sitting at home, just willing to accept going back into what I call an institution. When we think about institutions, we think about jail cells or places that confine people. That's also what I think about when I think about our schools. Are we really willing to send our children back to places that we know, 1, weren't educating well, 2, we're not connecting the dots for children, 3, you're in those places fighting for literacy, and 4, you have no real connection and no communication with the districts, with the teachers, with the administration. We are stakeholders in schools, and our assets are our children. So how much are we willing to invest in institutions that aren't going to give us back a return and a greatest return, which is our children are learning, reading, and doing great. How do you all feel about it?
Man, Crystal, you just said it. Like the school systems across this country, they belong to the parents and the children, and we're always left out of the conversation with the decision. I fear that same insane behavior will continue, where they won't listen to parents and include us in the decisions for our children.
Facts.
I think about, I'm sorry, Kim, go ahead. I think about the quote from Harriet Tubman, I freed 1,000 slaves. I could have freed 1,000 more if they only knew they were slaves. And my biggest fear is that parents will be fearful to fight for a quality education. And my fear is that we as parent advocates won't be able to change the mindset of parents to demand a quality education for not just their kids, but all children. Because when we fix it for our children, we fix it for all kids in our city's children. So that's my biggest fear.
Yes, yes.
And I feel you, Miss Sarah. That was my fear, that parents just will sit down or lay down and feel like they have to accept this for education. We don't have to accept this. We can have a standard and an expectation, and we can demand more. I think that's what parents have to know, and that's my biggest fear, that we're going to lay down and accept it for what it is.
Yeah, no, I have to echo a lot of what you guys had said, right? You know, that I think it's interesting, Miss Sarah, what you're talking about right now, because I think that's something that we lean into when we're talking with parents, telling them, like, you know, I want to provide you with everything you need in order to be successful in your advocacy, because not only will you make it better for your child, but you'll make it better for all the children that are in that school, right? And so I think my biggest fear, you know, we've kind of talked about this and touched base on it, is that, you know, the kids that were behind before this whole thing started are going to be even further behind when we start getting things back on track, if you will. And, you know, I don't see anything right now that's being done to really identify and touch base with those kids. And so, you know, I mean, when we go back, you know, how many years are they going to be behind when things start up again, right? That's one of my biggest fears, things.
And will they engage the parents? Like, we need to know where they are. So that's the other piece. Like, when we go back, or if we go back, how will they engage us so that we'll be involved with every step of the learning process, so that we can carry on their education, no matter if it's a pandemic or a health concern or whatever. Like, this shouldn't stop.
And Kim, I'm glad you said that, because right then it ticked in my brain that we invest in everybody but parents, and we know that we the only one can move the needle. And will federal government, local government, and state government invest in parents to help them? Because clearly they don't have the answer.
You know what? It's something that I've been hearing, like school districts say for a couple of years. They always say that we're doing the best that we can. And when I hear that, all I hear is we're going to do what we're doing. And so it's time for parents to just take action and say, no, like, we deserve the very best. Stop giving us the half-ass stuff that y'all been giving us for years.
And I think parents have to know, like, what is good, Sonia, because that's what
Right.
it is. Like Miss Sarah always talk about mindset. If this is all you know, this is what you think is great. You're gonna make the best of it. That's what we are good at, making the best out of what we have. But when it comes to education, we should not accept what they give us and make the best of the education. No, we're gonna demand it, and we're gonna take what we deserve for our children.
Give us the best off the top. That's right.
And you gotta hop back into the belief.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
You can't have anybody in those schools who doesn't believe in your child, who doesn't believe they can learn, who doesn't believe they can do more than even what the state says they can do. Who are you to dictate how a child learns and not give them the opportunity to do more? Go ahead.
You know who believes? Who believes? We believe, right? We believe in our children. We believe in the greatness that can happen. So that's why we're here, because we want all parents to know that we have that power to be able to change these things if we all rally together, for sure. So, God, that guys.
And I'm going to jump in one more time.
Tell me, Sarah.
It's our job as parent advocates to go out and change the mindset of parents that don't believe they have the power. Parents have the power. We the expert with our own children. So how you not going to invest in parents to help you get our kids where they need to be?
And especially when we the key player, we the coach. So how you have a coach, but they don't know to play? That don't make sense. Like, how are you gonna engage the parents? We're not there. You want to educate our child, and then you don't have a relationship. So it's just some things that should not be acceptable. Moving forward, it should be necessary for them to build a relationship with the parent, and for the parent to know where their child is at any given moment. I think
For the first
I
time,
like that, Kim. We the coach. We own this. We run this.
for the first time in history, all parents are on the same playing field. No matter what school you in, nobody's child is getting excellent education right now. So this is now everybody's fight. It's
And
not
no matter what zip code you come from.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's not a black and white issue no more. It's not
Right.
a poor and rich issue no more. My kids are in private schools, and I still think they could have done more. So everybody needs to get on the bridge.
But the difference between us and them, like, these are our children, right? So we have the love, like, we really want them to have it. So like Miss Sarah say, why aren't they investing in the parents? Because right now it seems like the parents are the only one that can do it. So if you would
Period.
invest on the front end, we wouldn't be here. We could take the ball and run it on down the field, guys.
What you said.
Yeah.
It's time to make sure that everybody's uncomfortable, y'all. Like Miss Sarah said a few months ago, like folks they too comfortable. And so we got to make sure that everybody is uncomfortable.
Because that's the only thing that's gonna make them grow, right? That's what got us here. We've been uncomfortable all this damn time.
Maribel look like she getting
Yes.
Maribel, come on, Maribel. I see it in your eyes, girl.
Come on, Maribel.
There's so much I want to say. I mean, I'm just like hearing all of y'all, and I'm like, oh my gosh. But the districts say that, we're working on the parents. We know we need to talk to them, but we don't see it. Like, we just haven't seen it. And right now is a time that we need to be included, because you know what? Who's the one that's leaving? Superintendents come and go, principals come and go, teachers come and go, and who's the one staying behind, supporting our children, loving them, knowing what their successes are? It's us, right? It's parents. And so if you really think about it, the power is in us, not the schools. We need to be there. We need to be invited, not invested in. They don't need to invest anything in us. They just need to invite us to this conversation.
And Maribel, you said you said that superintendents come and go. They come with small pockets, but they leave with fat pockets.
Right? That's right. Because our kids are worth something to them.
But the thing is, so when you stop the money, then what happens? So don't play with my child. They looking at it. It's a
Stop
ticket.
playing.
Meal ticket.
Anybody can get it, kid. Anybody.
Get it to them, Sonya.
I think it's interesting that we talk about how like knowledge is power, right? And so I have this like conspiracy theory in my head that like the schools know how well the kids are performing, right? But they just don't tell the parents and whatnot, right? And so like if we had that kind of information, we'd be in a better position to fight, in my opinion. So. But it is, we have to know where our kids are at first.
I just think it's time for us to stand up for what is right. That's a song, y'all. I keep songs in my head. Stand up for right. Join in the fight. Be a soldier for our children. We're gonna rewrite it.
Yeah. Even what Obama said, change the morning. If we wait for some other person, or if we wait for some other time, we are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the change that we see. We are so fortunate today to have someone with us today who actually did that. So Kim, tell us about our guests we have with us today.
Good morning, Miss Virginia. My name is Kim and I'm from Atlanta.
Morning.
I'm amazed to be in her presence this morning, and I'm honored to welcome you to the Powerful Parent Network, the Quarantine Edition. Y'all, this is a strong, Black, powerful mother that loves her child. She set the tone for education, not only for her child, but for all kids in Little Rock, Arkansas. And she set the expectation for parents to fight for the right for their child to have a quality education. She's a true warrior, and she's one of the first 130 kids that desegregated Little Rock High School. So that's how we know she's a true fighter. It is her story in the 2019 movie, Miss Virginia. You guys join me in welcoming Miss Virginia Walden Ford.
Hey, Miss Virginia.
Hi, everybody. It's great to be here with you.
Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Hi.
We are so excited to have you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This is Joe Cantillo. I'm from San Antonio. So first of all, I want to say I'm incredibly honored and humbled to to be a part of the, or for you to be here right now. One of the things I remember is my family had watched the movie before me, and you know, they, as soon as they got done watching it, they came and told me, you know, like, hey, you need to watch this movie. This is exactly what you're doing. You know, like, I'm so proud. Like, my dad is out there doing this kind of stuff. You know, because we're out there, right, in like some of the toughest neighborhoods, trying to get people to understand that, you know, education is important. Education is a key to moving forward, right? And so I mean, it was just great to kind of see that and be like, damn, I really am doing that kind of stuff. And so I appreciate that, and I appreciate the stuff that you've done. I think a big question that we have right now is, you know, we are doing stuff that's a little bit fearful. We are going to places that are a little bit scary. And so, you know, how did you use your fear, I guess, in a way to like push for change and push forward?
Well, you know, first, let me say it's really an honor to be here with you all this morning. You know, I really enjoy talking to parents, and I really enjoy telling our story. Thank you all for all the accolades and all of that. But you know, so I'm a parent. And even though my children are all grown up now and I have grandchildren, first and foremost, I'm a parent. And what we did in D.C. in fighting for our children was strong with other parents. You know, I'm pleased and all of that the movie was made and they used my story, but you know, my story is everybody's story. And all 2,000 of the parents that stood with us in DC were their stories as well. As a matter of fact, when I first started, I learned that every single parent has a story, and every single parent can relate to what we're doing. And that's one of the things that made it such an amazing effort. So I want to be here to do whatever I can. You know, I'm getting older now, but, you know, I still want to be here to support parents as they get involved in their own fights in their own particular cities. So whatever, I told Sarah yesterday, whatever you want to ask me, I will answer. And I will be here as long as you need me.
I got a question, Miss Virginia. So we know that the work that we do is really hard work, and that it's the business of shifting mindsets. So when I think about what we believe that you had to do in DC, I will ask you to talk a little bit about how you got people's mindsets to change to not it's Miss Virginia's fight, but it's my fight too.
You know what I did? I went into the communities. Well, first, I didn't know what I was doing. When I began, I was fighting for my own child. And along the way, I realized that there were a lot of other parents that had the same battles that I was having with my son, who was, you know, really turning into a person that I didn't even know. I mean, he was losing direction. He was going into the streets. He was getting kicked out of school. There's a scene where she says, I brought him to school this morning and watched him go in. True, many times I brought him to school, and somehow after he opened that door and went inside and I drove off, he left. And I got call after call. So everybody was going through this at that time. So I thought the only thing I can do is get my story out, get my voice out. And I went into communities all over DC. I think at the first few months of us just getting involved, I did 100 meetings in the community. I was always out there. And at some point, the people would say, oh, here comes that education lady. Who is she and what does she want? And, you know, they had seen so many people come into their communities and say, I'm going to help you, and then disappear. And so I knew early on that if I was going to do this, if I was going to fight for all children, not just William. His name is really William. They use James in the movie, but his name is William. And if I was going to fight for William, then I had to build trust with the families that would be the beneficiaries of whatever we did. Yeah. So I went into the community. I made friends with people. I talked to people about they had to be the advocates for their children, because if they didn't, then that stereotypical message would be going out to the community about how we didn't care about our kids. You know, that we weren't going to do anything to fight for our kids. So I had to convince them that if they didn't do it, that would happen. And so we did. We had a lot of conversations. You know, one of the things we found in doing this was there was always that elderly lady that lived in the community that everybody listened to. And if you could get them on your side, then you could get other parents on your side. When my kids were young and I was living in a community that was troubling and challenging, there was a lady in our community, and she would keep all the kids for $25 a week. And so she became our grandmother, our surrogate mother, our surrogate grandmother. I had 3, a baby and 2 kids in school, and she would keep them. And we'd say, you know, Mama Clark, how you do this for $25? And she said, oh, I don't need no money, you know, but I want to help you girls, and I want to help your children. I remember she potty trained my youngest, and we'd walk in there in the evenings to pick up the kids, and there would be 10 kids sitting on potty chairs. And that meant a lot to us, but you could get those people like Miss Clark to support whatever you're doing, that it gives you a long way to getting other parents involved. But it's about building trust. There are probably 300-400 parents in D.C. that call me mama. All their kids call me grandma, and to the despair of my own children and grandchildren. They're like, why do they call you grandma? You ain't their grandma, you know. But that's the kind of relationship we built with people. And that's what you have to do out there. You have to be willing to make a commitment that is so thorough and so pure that becomes, you know, the one thing that you can't not do. You cannot not get up in the morning and say, what's happening with the parents in our community? You cannot sit back and say, oh, I won't go to this meeting. You go. And it's hard, you know. I mean, I have a lot of empathy for all of you that are involved in the fights for children right now. You know, because I feel you. I know what you're going to go through. I know what you are going through. And this is the hardest thing I ever did in my life. You know, I thought before then that I was overwhelmed just raising my kids. But when I got in this fight, all of a sudden I was responsible for hundreds and thousands of children. And they became my life, you know, and that's what sometimes I don't see. Not with you all, because I know Miss Sarah gonna get you out there, but a lot of people don't realize that, yes, it's hard. Yes, it's challenging. Yes, people are gonna be mean to you, but if you really sincerely want to become the advocate for your children, then you go out there. So just going place to place, nail salons. I ain't got no money to get no nails done. I just sit, and it was tough for me, and I had never done it before. I mean, I am now, and I've learned. I was not a person that liked to be in the forefront and get attention. I was a plain mother, raising 3 kids in the hood in Washington, D.C., and trying to fight all the battles, particularly keep my sons out of the street. And William was tough. You know, I mean, he decided early on that he was going to do whatever he wanted to do, and that I wasn't going to be the one that kept him safe. The gangs were going to be the ones that kept him safe. And somebody asked me the other day, did I really burn the money? Yes, I did. You know, and I threw the shoe at him. But unlike the actress in the movie, I hit him. And I meant to hit him with the shoe. He needed to feel what I was trying to say to him, that, you know, you cannot go out here and allow these people to give you money or give you stuff, and then you know, just disregard everything your mother, your teachers, or people that care about you are saying. So it's an all-consuming thing. You put your heart in it, you put your soul in it, you put your spirit into it, or don't do it.
Miss Virginia, I got a quick question. I watched that movie again last night, and I watched you cleaning, and I saw myself because when I came into this space running a nonprofit, I cleaned houses, and I did it with pride, and I
Yeah.
was wondering, did she really clean houses?
Oh yeah.
And so some people look at you different from where you come from. I clean houses, and to this day, I still clean one house every week because I've been cleaning it for 28 years. And now this man is like part of my family. And people look at you different for what you used to do.
They
And
do.
when doubts slip in, you have to remind yourself that I'm doing this work because God told me to do it, not because man told me to do it. So
Yes.
I find myself in this space, not when I was out there, wasn't running a nonprofit, but on the street just talking to parents. And it's different when you're in a space where you run a nonprofit. It's tough. I done had some crappy jobs. I done worked in factories, but this is the toughest job I ever had in my life. And what makes it so tough is when I have to come up against people that look like me, that I thought wanted what was best for black and brown children, but they look like me, but they fight me daily.
Oh yeah. I mean, I can, first and foremost, I do anything to support my children. I was left alone with children when they were very little, and I knew that I had to make a difference for them. I wanted them to be proud of me, so I do any kind of work. I cleaned houses. I worked for a company that cleaned an office building. You know, people assume things when they look at you. And I remember somebody saying to me one time, "You don't look like you would do that kind of work." What did it look like? You know, my grandmother cleaned houses. My family history. They did what was necessary, and I got their genes. I did what was necessary to take care of my kids. And people were mean, and usually, a lot of times, there were people that looked like us, and there were people that would say, why are you doing this? Because that's not part of our history, or we almost died to get into public schools. Well, I contend that a lot of people did fight to get into traditional public schools, but we didn't fight to just get into buildings. We fought to get into quality education, and that's what they don't get. And that's why I was harassed a lot. My family were the parents that were going to be served by these programs. That was my family. Those were the people that supported me. Those were the people I fought for, and those were the people I love to this day. I'm still in touch with a lot of parents that were in the initial fight, which was 17 years ago. And but, you know, I learned to ignore people. You know, when the movie first came out, and we were very, very proud of the message because it talks, in my opinion, it really talks about strong parents and what parents can do if they're willing to fight. But so many people that look like us haven't even called to acknowledge the film. So, you know, I always felt like, well, I know who my people are. I know who my families are. I know who the people are I'm going to stand shoulder to shoulder with and fight each fight. And they ain't going to be those people anyway. So I just ignore them and go on and continue to do what I can for families. You know, Black and brown children are the ones that get hurt the most. And so my initial fights were for Black kids and Hispanic kids. And then later on, it became for all poor kids, you know. And so I fight for everybody. And that's really important to remember when you're doing this. You can't allow them to put you in a box and make you only fighting for children of your own race. We fight for America's children, and we want to make sure that every child. I live in Arkansas, of course, and you know, and because that's where I'm from. 65% of poor kids in the state are white, and now the Hispanic community has grown. And so we have a responsibility to fight for every child, but it's hard. And it is the hardest, like you said, it is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And I had some tough jobs, but you know, gets into your soul and your spirit, and you realize that this is something that's really important. If we don't step up and fight for our children, the next generation will be in the same place the current generation is in. I've talked to too many parents that were affected by when they were growing up. Too many kids didn't graduate from DC schools. Too many kids didn't graduate from any school. I've worked with first generation kids, that families who the child I was fighting for DCOSP was the first generation or first child in the family to graduate from high school. Don't even talk about college. Most of them didn't even have an idea of what to do to get into colleges or how to put themselves in a position where we can. 11,000 children have benefited from DCOSP. 50% plus have gone on to college. Others have gone on to other kinds of jobs and training programs. And one little girl told me she worked for a trucking company, you know, and you got to have a high school diploma to get those kinds of jobs. So I'm proud of all 11,000 of the kids that have benefited from DCOSP, and I want to see that continue to happen around the country. I live in a neighborhood in Little Rock. It's the neighborhood I grew up in. Well, when I was growing up, it was a neighborhood. Now they call it the hood. Fine with me, you know, and they want to change the name, but we deserve to have the same kind of opportunities in this neighborhood now that we had when I was growing up. But when I first got back, I saw kids who were 5th and 6th grade that didn't read a bit in this neighborhood. So we started a reading class and worked with kids some. And then we run a program out of the church that's right in the middle of public housing projects. So things have not changed enough for me. I think that we have to keep doing this. You know, one day I'd like to retire one day, but I'm not going. I'm not going.
Mary look like she got something to say.
Miss Virginia, I have a burning question.
Okay.
I want to be able to, you know, give it some space, because you did mention Hispanic families, and here in San Antonio, I mean, that's the majority of us. And so I wanted to say, you know, we use this term a lot, is that you don't know what you don't know, right? And so we use this a lot with our families. We use it amongst each other. And I could tell you firsthand, that's how I felt. We've been conditioned from, you know, our culture, our parents, our ancestors, to just kind of go with the flow, accept everything as it is, and it's okay. But I'm wondering, you know, what can you share with us of your personal experience that you maybe gave parents, showed parents, talked to parents? What piece of information did you see a good result in opening their eyes and them being awake?
Well, one of the first things I would say to parents is you need to advocate for your children. And oftentimes they would go, why, or how, or we're not welcome, or nobody allows us in the classroom. And I'd say you have every right to fight for your child. You have every right to go to members of Congress or legislators, state legislators, and say, I don't like what's happening with my kid. You know, part of this is being strong, united. So the first thing you have to do is get other parents that are willing to use their voices. I told her, at some point I'm going to send you this book. It's kind of a step-by-step, Sarah, and you can get it out to people around the country. But when we first started, or after we won, they never mentioned that parents were involved, and it really made me mad. So I was blessed to get an award, and I wrote a book called Voices, Choices, and Second Chances, which is a step-by-step account of what to do, and it went to parents, a lot of parents. But you know, I think we ought to get that book, and because it's from the parents, it's not just my voice; it's everybody's voice, because we wanted to, for you all. For future parents, for future parent groups, we wanted them to see you all, to see what we went through. But my advice is to talk to parents, talk about, you know, what's happening with their children. In that book is a little section about how to tell your story. And you know, we all can talk about our kids, but telling your story and talking about our kids is two different things.
Yes.
Telling your story is saying it in a way that people will say, "Oh my God, I can't believe that happened." Because you talk about your kids, you're not going to get that always.
Right.
Most of the time, you're going to get, okay, that's enough. I don't want to hear about that kid no more.
Right, right.
But with the way we learned how to do it, now we're teaching ourselves. I was not expert. I was a mother. I was working 2 jobs before all this started, and it was 3 after all this started. So I was, you know, trying to make sure my kids were okay, and so you know, it's a lot of collective voices. Initially, when we started, it was with 25 people. And 25 people will go around and talk to anybody that will listen to us. I can't tell you how many churches we got put out, how many conventions we got put out. But we didn't want to hear it, you know, but we kept talking. I think that part of the problem now is, you know, we're in a world now that has again, and I'm saying again, lost respect for parent voices. Again. So when we were fighting, we were warriors, we were soldiers. I mean, we'd say, I die for these kids. And, and nobody disbelieved us. And then over a period of time, with so many school choice programs have, you know, popped up around the country in charter schools and stuff, all of a sudden the parent voice is not heard as loud. So it's concerned me for a few years now. And I think that we have to become the soldiers we were in the 90s. And we have to make sure that our voices are heard loud and clear. And I'm not talking about hollering and screaming. You know, anybody will tell you I'm a warrior, but I believe that when you talk to people and you have all the information that you need, you know, how many kids what's the dropout rate? You know, how many kids are going in the 4th grade and can't read when we know our kids need to read? You have to make sure you have information, because the first time you try to talk to somebody and you don't have that information, they'll write you off, you know, and that's what we found, you know, and I got written off often, you know, until I learned how to do this. And you got to go in with dignity and grace. And a reporter who was actually opposed to what we were doing told me one time, I really like to interview you in your group because you're all, you know, you have all this information, you're nice people. I mean, even the NEA said, oh yeah, we'll debate you because you don't attack people, you don't talk about them ugly. And so people look at those things. And a photographer told me, yeah, we go after the one that's screaming the loudest. We go after the one that's acting, this cursing or looking the worst. And because that plays well on TV. Mm-hmm. You know, another reporter said, I go after the dirt. What can you tell me? What's the dirt? Who are you going to talk about? You know, and I decided, excuse me, a long time ago that I'm a Christian. I would carry myself with the grace of the Lord, and I did. So they kept coming back to me, and I think really much that added to our ability to be able to talk to people.
Ms. Virginia, sorry, I another question I had, I think that we're all kind of wondering, right? When you're building the policy that you're going after, right, you had to find like a co-conspirator, if you will, that would be with you on that side, right? How did you, I mean, could you elaborate on that a little bit? I know there's a lot there, but I think that would just be, I think that's kind of important for what it is that we're trying to do. You know, there's a lot of different policies that we're looking at, and I think that kind of information would benefit us.
Well, the first thing you have to decide on what you want. Then you have to basically just go around and talk to people and see if anybody is on your side. The actor, Matthew Modine, who played the member of Congress, he was really several members of Congress all put together in one person. And every time I see the film, I see each one of them. And sometimes they're not going to be people you're used to talking to. You know, sometimes they're going to be people that in your wildest dreams that you think you'd ever be talking to about helping you. So you can't close your mind to who you go to. I believe in coalitions. I believe in finding organizations that public policy organizations. I work with the Heritage Foundation, Institute for Justice, Cato. I worked with a lot of different organizations that had already written policies, but what we make a mistake on, we don't learn it ourselves. We rely on those organizations to speak on our behalf. And I learned and taught the parent leaders that, these are things we needed to know. Sometimes people called us. John Boehner actually called us. He heard us speak at an event, called us and said, this is something I've been thinking about for a long time. What are you doing? Jeff Flake from Arizona, he was our original supporter of the bill that passed. And then it got more and more parents got involved. This is the power of parents. The more parents got involved, the more members of Congress were willing to support us. My first fight in the 90s was with Dick Armey. So, sometimes there are people that you don't expect to support you, and we close our mouths to them. We say, well, if I'm black, well, I'm only going to work with the Congressional Black Caucus. That's crazy. They're not, unless somebody steps up and says, I support you, I'm going to work with whomever that is willing to support my children. And the Congressional Black Caucus wouldn't support us. And that's a fact. It's written everywhere. We did not get the Congressional Black Caucus support. They didn't believe in the program. And then you'll hear, we fought so hard to get educational freedom, they called it. But what we fought for was to get in those buildings, and we haven't obtained educational freedom yet. And that's what we have to continue to do. But aligning yourself with organizations that have already done something. I was a member of the Black Alliance for Educational Options, and it was formed because we saw people fighting for our kids, and we weren't at the table. Mm-hmm. So we put ourselves at the table with parent groups. People fight for our kids, but we're not there. And as hard as it is, it's kind of scary to work with these groups, but you got to be at the table with them as they're fighting for your kid. You got to be available. And but sometimes members of Congress supported us because they heard our voices. If I do nothing, I will teach people how to use their voices, how to stand up and fight, because it is really important. A good example of how we got one person support. In the House, on the first legislative fight, we had the chairman of the Appropriation Committee had a press release and said he wouldn't support us or the scholarship program. I mean, big press release. So the next day, 100 parents or so and kids, and we don't take kids out of school. It was a school holiday. We took kids and parents up to his office, and our plan had been just to sign in, let him know we were there, because you got to let him know we were there. What happened was he came in when we were signing in, and he sat down with all those parents and all those kids, and for 2 hours, he listened to their stories. The next day, he announced that he was supporting our program. So don't think the power of your voice doesn't make a difference. It does, and it certainly did in that case. So
I agree.
What you're doing.
And Miss Virginia, you such a great storyteller. I wish we can just talk and listen.
I know. Well, I'm back anytime,
Okay, but Miss Virginia, we want you to look into our camera and talk to our parents. And we want to know what advice, especially like during these times, would you give low-income parents who don't think that they have the power to make real change?
Well, what I want to say to you all out there is, first thing is be strong, be tough, be warriors. Don't sit back at the kitchen table and complain about something and not do anything about it. Step up, stand shoulder to shoulder with people, and make sure your voice is heard. And I'm not talking about your complaining voice. I'm not talking about your fussing voice. I'm talking about the voice that will affect your children's future. Stand up. That's what we did. We stood up, and around the country, parents have stood up for the last 20 years fighting for their children, and this has to continue. When this pandemic is over, we got to renegotiate where we are. We got to make, we're home teaching our kids now.
Yes.
And so don't tell me that I'm not involved. You stand up and say, I just taught my children for 7, 8, 9 weeks, and now I want to be a part of the process. But the one thing I think is more important than anything else is be empowered. Feel like, have courage, have confidence, be empowered. And carry a picture of your child on your phone in your pocket, and when you lose direction, look at that picture, and that will tell you who you're fighting for. And I know for myself, every time I look at that little funny face of my child, I said, I'm fighting for him, and he is a fine young man. I do not regret the fight.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Come on,
Thank you, Miss Virginia.
Thank you, Miss
Oh,
Virginia. I love you.
We're not gonna stop fighting, Miss Virginia. We're gonna keep fighting.
Well, I'm gonna be there to help y'all.
Thank you.
I might not be able to walk good no more, but I can talk, right? So, and Sarah knows she can call on me anytime.
Thank you so much, Miss
Here
Virginia.
around the country. I know this is a wonderful spread out organization. So anybody, I'm doing some work in Texas, but it's about speaking out. It's about using your voice.
We love you, Miss Virginia.
I love
You too,
y'all.
Miss Virginia.
Thank
I
you.
love you. It's been a joy to be here today.
Okay. We just want to thank you for spending time, Miss Virginia, and we hope that you can stick around for our final segment, which we have created to provide space to uplift each other and our audience. And I'm going to kick it out to our DJ John.
DJ?
Thank
Miss
you.
Ford, man, I'm gonna tell you, I'm over here I'm
Right,
ready.
right,
Quarantine
right.
and all.
I'm ready to go.
Point me in the right direction. But one thing that we always in the show we ask our guests and our co-hosts for this week, like, what are the things that uplift you? Is it a song? Is it a scripture? Like, what uplifts you during this time, Miss Ford?
There's a song that I love, and but it's called Victory. It's mine. It's a religious song.
Yes.
And put the devil behind you, because that's going to mess with you. But there's a lot of things that uplift me. Children graduating from college who didn't have chances.
Yeah.
A little girl, one of the kids in the program, is a scientist. She has a PhD. She ran from one of the toughest parts of D.C. ever. They call it a hot spot. And that's where she was raised. When she got her PhD, I wrote her and I said, you're the reason for this program for us. But 10 years ago, she just turned 30. So I've been involved a long time. She was 13 when I met her. And she told me, yeah, it was bad. Well, she told me, Miss Virginia, I want to be the hope for my family. And that's what enlightens me. But that song says it all.
Okay, so what I'll do, and you should listen our next show, I'm going to make sure I play that. I'm going to tell you on mine, I'm getting married in a few weeks, and my song that's motivating me is an artist from D.C. His name is Wale, and his song is Matrimony. So I'm going to play that, and this is what motivates me, and I'm going to ask some of you other guys on the show, what is the music that motivates you? Just shout out to Brittany.
Baby, don't worry, I got plans for you. Yeah, baby, I've been making plans.
All right. I'm just getting my two-step ready.
Good luck.
Kim, I see you jamming over there, Kim. Miss Dukes, what motivates you or what uplifts you during this time, Kim?
So right now, for me, just going through this fight and being a mom of 10 kids, educating for home, I got Marvin Sapp, because you got to have love and faith. Never would have made it without the man upstairs.
Come on now.
I love that, and I always count on the dirty South. Well, let me take it over to, we just heard from ATL. Let's take it over to STL in St. Louis. Krista Barnett, what is some music that motivates you?
The wine is time to make a change.
Oh, CCBB and all the whining.
Yes,
all of them.
It's game time. We're not going back.
Okay, let me crank this up.
This ain't no game, you know what I'm saying? What? Yep. Here we go. Oh,
Yeah. That's a good one right there.
It's time.
All right, it's time. And it's the time now. I want to hear from my sound engineer who just always serves double duty. I want to hear from Joe Ken too. What is something that motivates you, Joe?
Yeah, so I thought I'd change it up a little bit and just talk about some experiences I do. So my family is an avid board gamer, or we play board games here, and so just kind of bringing the family together and playing those games and really changing it up. Like instead of going out to the movies or something like that, we just like to be together and have just a little competition. And so those kinds of moments really motivate me.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, Monopoly in my household turns into a fight. So I love the board games, but I get tired of boxing because somebody done stole the money. All right, let me take it to my hometown, Music City. Sonya Thomas, what is the music that motivates you?
So the song that I'm listening to right now is "I Told the Storm."
Ooh.
The thing I know is if our babies are born, we have a clear vision for them, right? There's not a parent that I know that doesn't want their child to succeed. And so there are going to be billows and there are going to be things put in our way, but we got to keep on moving towards that vision. So I tell the storm, get out of my way.
Okay, praise dancers, get ready.
Got to move. Sing, John.
Hey.
Every church got their good praise dancer that'll have a church house.
You know when you know. When you know, ain't nothing gonna stop you. Hey.
All right. Woo. Hey, I'm telling you, I can listen to this song all day.
I love that song so much.
Hey, I told the storm. So now we're going to take it down to the M-Town. Sarah always balances us out. Sarah, what is the music this week that motivates you?
Well, Sunday I was listening to Michael Jackson real loud on the front porch in the hood, Miss Virginia.
Okay.
And Michael Jackson, Man in the Mirror. I just believe that I'm talking to the powers that be now. I hope people have looked in the mirror and said, I can be a part of that change, because we're going to demand that they change things. So they got to look in the mirror. And one thing for sure, and two things for certain, they got time to look in the mirror and make that change.
Come on. Mm-hmm. You can't go wrong with Mike either. You just
let me crank it up. Man, I miss me some Michael. Man in the Mirror, the parents in the mirror. And last but not least, my partner in crime, Maribel, always has a great song. Maribel, what is the music that motivates you this week?
So the song I chose was Believer by Imagine Dragons. And to be honest, the reason I chose this song is because I believe that if all parents, band, work together, we can make these really big changes that are much needed in our communities.
I agree.
All right, let me crank this up.
I'm excited.
Second, don't you tell me what you think that I can be. I'm the one at the sail. I'm the master of my sea.
Man, all right. I tell you, I believe it is Friday afternoon. This music has been great. Miss Ford, you have been great. I want to, but first, before we end, just a shout out. Do we have Memphis in the house? The parents, if you are watching this, let's hear from Memphis on the chat. Let us know you're here.
Yes.
Do we have St. Louis? Let's get in on this chat on Friday afternoon. Let us know you hear St. Louis if you're looking on the watch party. ATL, let's hear from ATL.
Hey.
Put it in that chat. Represent for Dukes. Now represent for the Twin Towers in San Antonio. Let us know you here. Give us some likes, some shares, some reactions. All right, last but not least, let's hear from Cohort 3. Let's hear from Nashville. Y'all have been tuning in. Where you at? Rhea, Sarita Harris. Come on, guys.
Let's go.
And then Oakland, I know our Oakland cousins be watching us. Hear from Oakland.
Turn up.
Hey.
Well, that is all the time we have this week. Miss Ford, again, we thank you so much for getting in with us. You have totally represented and you have been a joy to us all. Thank you. You are welcome back anytime. And with that, we're going to close it out.
Miss Virginia, thank you so much. We're going to get that book out. We got to get that book.
Yes.
Thank you, Miss Virginia.
Amazon. We're ordering that.
I'm going to leave with some Bruno Mars 24K because this conversation was good as gold.
Yes.